Would you like to have a brief and honest conversation about mental health? Of course you would. It's the only reason you come here. For the first time, I think, ever since I really started this channel, I did not get my video done this weekend. Anxiety really got the better of me, and I was not able to get done what I needed to get done. I have been painting though, and I am gonna show you the painting because it's actually going pretty well. Welcome to another episode of Psychiatrist Said Something on the Internet, so now I'm going to talk about it like I actually know something. I'm obviously not a mental health professional. I'm not really a professional of any kind. Hey, if I were a mental health professional, I'd probably be able to get a better job. I did have a kind of an episode of pretty bad anxiety this weekend, and I don't, particularly if you live in America, there's a lot going on in the world right now. It's not a specifically American thing. I did not watch the inauguration. There was no reason for me to watch it, but I still knew it was happening. I didn't realize how stressed out I was about what's going on in the world. I also threw myself into a frenzy of job searching activity recently and wrote like 40 unique cover letters and sent them all out with just dead sincerity and got rejected from all those jobs. So like a lot of things went wrong recently that were just things that weren't really within my control. I was having really bad anxiety this weekend. There are words for what I was experiencing, and I'm going to tell you what those words are because I think giving words to things and just knowing that there is actually a name for something, sometimes just knowing that there are enough people in the world experiencing some messed up thing that psychiatrists have actually given it a name. What I was experiencing was something, it's technically two different things, but they're extremely closely related. Depersonalization and derealization. If you don't know what those words are, you should look them up. And if you think you're experiencing that, absolutely go talk to a professional. I used to have episodes of very bad dissociation and very bad depersonalization, derealization stuff that would go on for like days or weeks. Like I just felt like I was not myself. And I had a little bit of that this weekend. Fortunately, when something like that happens to me now, I recognize it and it feels absolutely terrible, but usually it goes away in a matter of a couple hours, whereas I used to spend weeks on end in this state of just feeling absolutely detached. I used to describe it as feeling like an alien, or someone I heard someone once talk about this as feeling like a ghost in the world. It's like everything is still there, but I feel like I am not part of it, or things aren't real, or things aren't normal. And the things that normally help me and comfort me and just help me kind of veg out and numb my mind, or like just things that are normally comforting to me really aren't. And everything takes on this quality of feeling really sinister. And I'm talking about this just like, if you know what I mean, then you know. Like if you've had this experience, I think having this happen to you as a fleeting experience is probably very normal. I think everybody experiences a little bit of this in their life. But I was just feeling very, very anxious about all these things going wrong, maybe things going wrong in the world, maybe just things that weren't going right in my life. If you watch this channel, you know I've had all the same pain points for a really long time. I decided to kind of look up, some stuff Dr. K has to say about anxiety and to see if he had ever made a video about like depersonalization and derealization. And he doesn't have a video specifically on that topic, but he does have one video that I did find very helpful, and the video is about overwhelm and what you can do about the feeling of being overwhelmed in life. And what he had to say in there I thought was incredibly interesting. You need to back up and understand what causes overwhelm and what overwhelm really is before you can do anything about it. And he said that There are two kinds of challenges, and this is based on some kind of research that he read, I didn't. But that there are two kinds of challenges in life. They have names. One is a passive challenge and one is an active challenge. In a passive challenge, these are things that life has just kind of thrown at you. Pardon me, I'm walking around with my camera on my tripod. I had to get a cough drop. I'll get to why in a second. But a passive challenge is like stuff that life kind of just throws at us. You know, stuff happens. You know, you had a car accident or your mom died or something like that, or, you know, the company you work for closed and you lost your job for that reason. That's a passive challenge. And that's like 90% probably, I would think. Maybe not 90%, but it's probably the bigger part of what really stresses us out and makes us upset in the world. Most of what goes on in the world we have no control over, right? And the other kind of challenge is called an active challenge. And these are challenges that we choose to take on ourselves. If any of you watched me back then, you remember I challenged myself to make a video every day for 90 days. Something that is stressful to you, but it's something that you chose, right? And obviously, if you think about it, active challenges are like preferable to passive challenges. We would rather be challenged and stressed out with something that we at least chose to do. This made so much sense to me. I couldn't believe it. We have this idea about overwhelm. We got to get this wrong, that overwhelm comes from just having too many challenges in general. It just means it's the number of overall challenges we're facing that cause us to feel overwhelmed. And that is not quite correct. We feel overwhelmed when the ratio of passive to active challenges is not good. When too high a percentage of what is currently challenging us is in that passive category. That is what actually causes overwhelm. Because if you think about it, life is always challenging, right? I mean, when has it ever gotten easier? There are always challenges, but what causes overwhelm is when too many of the challenges are things outside of our control. And paradoxically, the way, apparently, and I'm just telling you what somebody said to me, and it makes sense to me because I feel like my own life works this way. The way to get out of that feeling of overwhelm, the way to unplug it, is to take on more active challenges. To put your energy, and it does make sense if you think about it, put more of your energy into challenging yourself with things that are within your control, or things that you at least chose to do. That gives us back a feeling of being more in control, and it makes perfect sense to me, because that's exactly what I do that stops overwhelm. I don't get rid of all the challenges in my life. That's impossible. You know, when I think about what caused me to feel so anxious and awful, and I'm doing fine, by the way, I probably should have said that sooner. I had an okay weekend. I felt terrible, but I made myself get up and do the things that I knew I should be doing. I went to the grocery store, took the kids out, and we did a family activity so that the kids could go out and do the things that they needed to do and things they wanted to do. We didn't cancel any plans. We did what we were supposed to do. I didn't enjoy it the way I normally would, but it all got done. I spent a lot of time. I talked to a friend of mine. I reached out and had a really great conversation with my best friend in Philadelphia. Things are okay. But really, ultimately, after I heard him talk about that was what kind of got me inspired to be like, okay, maybe I can really do something about this. It made me realize that what I really needed to do was the thing I'd been trying to do all weekend, was get this damn video recorded. Just get the video recorded, because YouTube, the reason why YouTube is so good for me, I mean, it's good for me for a lot of reasons. It gives me a sense of community, and it helps me build my craft, and it gets me painting. It gets me doing all these things that I love doing. But one of the things that makes YouTube so good for me is that it is challenging, and it is a challenge that I 100% choose. I could stop doing this any time, and I never do, because I've made a commitment to myself to do it. And that is the only reason I continue to do it. I mean, I love you guys and all, and I love talking to you, but I am not like getting wealthy on this channel or anything. That is not what drives me to get up and make videos every day. One of the best ways to get out of a bad episode of anxiety for me, I think Dr. K might have said something to this effect too, is to help other people, to do something that is helpful to someone else. When you're experiencing anxiety or depression, there is a strange kind of narcissistic quality about those two things. Like, we go inside of ourselves, we get stuck in our own heads, and we start feeling like all the bad things are about us. And being helpful to other people can really get us out of our own heads. I think that is one of the most healing, just generally healthy, therapeutic things I can do for myself. It's another reason why I make YouTube videos, because I like to think I'm being a little bit helpful here on the internet. Like, if you go to a therapist, sometimes they will suggest that you do something like volunteering somewhere, because it's really one of the best ways to get out of your own head. So even if you can't like go and be a volunteer somewhere right now, if you're really kind of stuck in your own head and you're having a lot of trouble in that way, find a way to reach out and be helpful. Even if it's just trying to post something useful or positive on social media today, get out in the world and be helpful. It's really one of the best ways to help yourself. Here I am, I'm making my video. It's Monday night. It's not going to be up on Monday like it's supposed to be, but it's going to get done. I just wanted to come here and talk to you a little bit about this. Leave me a comment and tell me what you think about this idea of getting out of overwhelm by challenging yourself with more things you choose. I know when you're feeling overwhelmed, the idea of taking on anything else sounds so stupid, but I have to agree that at least in my own life, the times in my life where I've really been able to succeed and I did not feel overwhelmed have not generally been times when I didn't have a lot of challenges. It hasn't been when the times were easy. It's been when most of the hard things were things I chose. When I decided to go back to school to become a software developer and leave my marriage and move out of Las Vegas and move across the country with my kids a couple years ago. I've told parts of that story a number of times here. I was absolutely hyper functioning. I cannot describe to you how much work that was. I can't even tell you how much work all that was. I was working full time. I was raising my kids. I was in school full time. I was volunteering somewhere to get experience. I had chosen to go down this path. I had chosen to take on these challenges. And even though things felt really lousy, and a lot of things were lousy, and it was absolute insanity, I didn't feel that overwhelm. I didn't feel that disconnect. I did not at all during that time experience any kind of like a dissociation. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about all this. I thought it was super interesting and I just wanted to share that with you. Here's my painting. It's loosely based on, and I mean very loosely based on, it was kind of inspired by this artist named Paul Kenton. There's like a short of him painting a painting of Times Square in New York City. Do I have to tell people that Times Square is in New York City? Who are you? Where are you? Tell me. Leave me a comment. Do you know New York? What do you know? This painting of mine was really inspired by Paul Kenton's really amazing painting of Times Square. Honestly, looks like he's just randomly throwing paint on a canvas. And even though you know that's not possible and that's not how it's happening, I look at this. I spend a lot of time watching painters paint and thinking about techniques and how people do things, and I cannot tell you exactly what he's doing. It's just, it feels so magical to watch. Look up Paul Kenton. He's fantastic. And this is my painting so far. It's not finished. It's not great. It's what I got. That's me. I'm here. I'm doing my thing. If you're still here and you're still listening to this, know that I love you. Subscribe to this channel and I will talk to you more next week.